With me now are Jonathan Maag and Robert Shoquist, technical directors at the Fort Wayne Civic Theatre. As they come up on their first-year anniversary in these backstage roles, they are here to tell us about the creative energy they bring to the Civic Theatre's scenery, lighting, sound, and more. Welcome, Jonathan and Robert. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
You both are pretty new. I mean, I know it's not quite a year, but how long, Robert, have you been here?
I got here November 1st last year.
Okay, so you're just about a
coming up on a
year.
year.
And Jonathan?
I started on January 3rd of this year,
Okay.
so a little bit longer away.
But you've done an awful lot in a very short period of time. I would like to talk about, your roles and what you actually do. People are so used to seeing what goes on the stage.
Right.
We don't always get to know what goes on
Of course.
backstage. So, Robert, as technical director, Scenic Supervisor, what does that mean? What do you do in your role at the Civic?
I basically design the sets for all of the shows. That is my primary role. After I design them, obviously we have to build them and get them actually on the stage. So my role encompasses all of that. As technical director, I have to worry about how things are going to be put together, weight loads, those types of things. But really, I'm an artist. I'm a scenic artist, and that's what I am most passionate about.
It's a pretty long process, really.
Absolutely.
So walk me through the process. How do you start?
A typical show would start with production about 8 to 10 weeks, maybe before the show actually goes up. We could be involved in another production at that time, so we'll be doing kind of double duty. Sitting down, talking about the script, talking about what excites us about it, how we find our way into the production. We sit down with the director and the entire design team, and we have that discussion about concept. Then we all tend to go to our own separate worlds, and we talk and do research. We'll look at a lot of research of the time period, research of specific events or items that are mentioned in the script, and then we come back, and from there we do like a preliminary model is what I use. Primarily I use models.
Well, and we have a model, a picture of a model.
Yeah.
I'd like to kind of talk about that a little bit. It's up
Absolutely.
there on the screen. And tell us about this. I mean, how big is this model?
This is 1/4 inch equals 1 foot.
Okay.
So it is pretty small. It's about a 1.5 feet tall and maybe 2 feet wide at the very most. This is for our upcoming production of A Christmas Story. And this is just a white model. At this point, I pretty much only take things into the white model stage. It gives us an idea to sense the scale in relationship to the actor. It allows our director to really get into the model, play with it, much like a doll's house, and it allows them to walk the pieces around and try to understand exactly what they're looking at. I always encourage them to get down into the box and really see it. It's pretty close to what the audience is going to feel. So I think it's a good way to handle it.
So this set, this model that you've built so far for Christmas Story, how did you design that? What were you looking for to be able to portray on stage for the actors?
Well, there's a lot of different scenes that occur. If you're familiar with the movie, which actually I was not, so that was one of the things that I tried actually not to do, was to view the movie at first, because I really wanted to let the script kind of wash over me and take that in as a piece of work that I could put my own spin on. Then, of course, I did read a little bit of the original writings, and I viewed the movie, and I tried to understand why it's so special to many people, why we want to watch this thing over and over and over again at Christmas time.
So that put any pressure on you?
Well, of course,
to have
obviously,
a beloved show.
Of course, you don't want to create something that is going to be contrary to what people are used to seeing. So I think
It has to be a little familiar.
It does. It has to be a little familiar. Some of the items in the script obviously are very similar, so there will be things. The leg lamp. You're going to see the leg lamp. You're going to see one of the children stick his tongue onto the flagpole. You can't get away from that. But it is an adaptation from a movie onto the stage, and you have to handle it in a much different way. So what we're trying to do is have a theatrical take, let the magic of theater come through and see that on stage. And a lot of the times people aren't, they're not expecting that magic, and it's really great to see that on the reaction towards that theater magic and seeing how it comes alive.
Well, and this is something that takes an awful lot of time. I mean,
Yeah.
you said sometimes you're starting 8 to 10 weeks, and
Absolutely.
I am guessing you're not working totally alone, you know,
Oh,
to
no.
do all of these
No,
ideas.
of course. I mean, we're bouncing ideas off of the director. We're talking to the costumers, the lighting. All of us get together, and it's a collaboration, and that's why I do it. I enjoy that collaboration. And then there's a point in time where I am working in my apartment until all hours of the evening, building a model. It doesn't take 5 minutes to build these things, but I really feel that it's important to have that sense of scale, the actor in space, and really understand that. I could just make drawings, I could just do some sketches, but they can be really deceiving. So this is a
The
way
3D
to
model seems like that way you could even move
Yeah,
figures through
absolutely.
it, or
It's a
see
great
how they're
test.
gonna
Yes.
fit on the stage, because maybe the scene isn't necessarily taking up the entire stage
Exactly.
for some reason. So
Exactly.
that
Many
seems like-
things that I envision are going to look great, I put them in the model and I say that's just not right. And that gives me an opportunity to get it right before we have to then blow it up into full scale and do the thing for real. Because there's a point in time when you can't start over. You're on your way, and
Right.
it needs to be painted and cut and put on stage, and the actors need to understand where everything is. So it's set after,
Right.
once rehearsals start.
Well, Jonathan, I want to ask you about the lighting on the stage. We've got the scenery, and guessing that's what comes first, but then
yes.
you come in after that's done. And what's your process?
My process is basically I collaborate with Robert on the set and give him my ideas, and then it's my job to take a look at the wonderful set that he designs and the director's vision and the physical world that is created by Robert and our costume designers, and to try and set the atmosphere or the tone more of the piece. It's a more intangible feeling. There's nothing physical to grab when you're talking about lights.
And I think a lot of people might think, oh, they're just going to shine a basic white light on, the actor who's on the stage.
I would love it if that was the way to do things.
Yeah, well, we've got some wonderful photos of your scenes and lighted, and I'm wondering if we can go through those and you can tell us a little bit about, especially the lighting, in them. What does the different lighting bring? I don't think most people realize what's going on behind them or in front of them.
Well, one of the best tools that the lighting designer can do, and one of the things that the lights do for the audience, is it sets up a dimension. It stops things from looking three-dimensional. It sets apart the people from the world. It also helps the audience to focus. I tell the audience where to look and what we want them to see and what's important to them in any sort of particular moment. So I get to play a little bit with the audience's head a little bit, and I've always
You
sort of
can light
enjoyed that.
things that maybe aren't even there to make them think that they're there, or and I think that's very fascinating. You think, well, wait a minute, there was a car there. Oh no, there wasn't.
It definitely
But
falls
looked
into
like
the
it.
magic
Yeah.
that Robert was talking about.
So your schedule is a little shorter schedule than the.
My schedule is considerably shorter.
At what point do you step into the process then?
About 2 weeks before we start loading in the show onto the stage is when I really take a look at Robert's design and find a way to light it cohesively. And so I will spend a couple days putting things together and planning out what I'm going to do. And then from there we're in the middle of construction, and then it's a very quick process. In choosing color for each individual scene or each individual light. It's a very quick process.
So, but what are some of the challenges of that? When you have that short window like that, some things have to be a little bit tough.
Yes, it's a challenge, but it's also wonderful that as I said, it's an intangible quality. And so unlike if we manage to accidentally choose an incorrect paint color that we never do, if I choose a lighting color that's wrong, I am able to change that very quickly. And so I have almost infinite choice. And that's a challenge to sort of finally settle on something and go, that's what is right. That's what we need. So.
Well, let me ask the two of you, you can kind of duke it out about this, but what do you think the most important part is? The lighting, the scenery?
Oh, it's definitely his scenery,
yeah.
I think.
I'd actually say the lighting. And I said this during our pre-interview, because the audience needs to know where to look. They need to know what part of the story is actually unfolding at any given time. So I think the lighting helps with that, because we could just do everything in a big black space, but without any light, we wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know what is there.
Yeah, exactly.
So you all work together and have
Exactly.
respect for the other
Absolutely.
craft. Oh, that is great. Now you've got a Christmas story coming up.
Yep.
And when does that open?
It is November 3rd.
November 3rd.
Yes, through the 18th.
Opening up, and you can get tickets.
On our website,
Okay.
fwcivic.org.
Okay, wonderful. We look forward to seeing that holiday classic.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for
Thank you
being
very much.
here. I am Melinda Haines with the IPFW College of Visual and Performing Arts. On the next Arts Weekly, Indian dance meets the Roanoke Renaissance. On the next show, we will have representatives from two events taking place Saturday, October 13th. Rukmini Vijay Kumar will discuss her traditional Indian dance theater performance at IPFW. Then we'll chat with Lynn Bartling from the Renaissance and Roanoke Festival. Watch us here live next Thursday evening at 7:30 on PBS 39.
This is Arts Weekly.
The preceding program on PBS 39 was made possible in part by
Excellence lives here in northeastern Indiana. It's reflected in more than 200 nationally recognized degrees. It drives our Division I sports. It's alive in our campus life. Excellence has a name, IPFW. Around our campus, around the country, around the world. Excellence lives here. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, two great names.